How does a company really go from a garage to a global $2 trillion empire? I mean, seriously, what if I told you that whole incredible journey was sparked by just one single, kind of terrifying number? Well, today we're going to explore the master plan that built Amazon, and it all starts with the statistic that changed everything. Okay, here it is, 2,300%. That's not a typo. Back in 1994, that was the annual growth rate of the internet. So you've got Jeff Bezos, this high-flying executive on Wall Street, and he sees this number, and he just can't unsee it. I mean, a growth rate that big, that fast, it's almost terrifying, right? He knew right then and there a revolution was happening, and he could either be a part of it or he could watch it pass him by. So let me ask you this seriously. What number, what sign would it take for you to quit your good, stable job and just risk everything? I mean, think about it. Because that's the exact choice Bezos was looking at. This wasn't just some business opportunity. This was one of those massive, life-altering decisions. And so the journey begins, just like that. Bezos and his wife, Mackenzie, they pack up, get in their car, and start this massive cross-country drive from New York all the way to Seattle. But, this is no vacation. Picture this. While she's driving, he's just hammering away in the passenger seat, furiously typing out the entire business plan for an online bookstore on his laptop. The whole thing was born on the road. Now, this might sound like a crazy, wild gamble, but it was actually super calculated. He used this mental model, this framework he called the regret minimization framework. Here's how it worked. He pictured himself at 80 years old, looking back on his life. He asked himself, will I regret leaving my job on Wall Street? And the answer was probably not. But he thought, will I regret completely missing out on this thing called the internet? And the answer to that was a huge, resounding yes. Suddenly, the choice was crystal clear. He just had to try. All right, so they get to Seattle. And Amazon wasn't born in some flashy downtown high-rise, not even close. Nope, it started, like all good tech legends, in a garage. And it's right there, in that garage, that its most important philosophy was forged. Be frugal. Be really frugal. And this is maybe the most legendary piece of Amazon lore, the door desk. And no, that's not some clever branding. It was literally a cheap wooden door that he bolted some 2x4s onto. Why? Simple. Doors were way cheaper than desks. This thing became the ultimate symbol of Amazon's culture. Don't you dare spend money on stuff that doesn't directly matter to the customer. Every single penny they saved on something like a desk was a penny they could use to lower prices. So back in the garage days, they actually had this physical bell set up. And every time somebody bought a book, ding, the bell would ring. You can imagine, it was pretty cool, pretty motivating. But then the sales started coming in faster and faster. Soon, that bell was just ringing constantly. It got so crazy, they eventually had to just turn the thing off. It was the first real sign that they had tapped into something explosive, something they could barely even control. But then, of course, the first huge test came along. The dot-com bubble burst. This was around 2000, and the whole internet gold rush turned into an absolute graveyard overnight. I mean, you had these startups that were supposedly worth billions one day and were literally worthless the next. For Amazon, this was the ultimate test. It was simple: survive or die. And here's where the difference really showed. While all these other dot-coms were, well, exploding, burning through millions in cash on crazy parties and Super Bowl ads, Amazon did the complete opposite. They were cold. They were surgical. They laid people off. They cut costs to the bone. And they focused on one thing and one thing only: getting to profitability. That whole gospel of frugality from the garage, that wasn't just some quirky startup story. It was the very thing that saved them. So, after surviving that dot-com winter, Amazon didn't just, recover. They went on the attack. This is the moment where the company really forged its ultimate weapon, a philosophy so powerful and, frankly, so predatory that it would define how they dealt with every other business on the planet. And this one quote from Bezos says it all. Your margin is my opportunity. What does that even mean? Well, it's pretty simple and pretty brutal. If another company is making a nice, healthy profit, a high margin, on something they sell, Bezos saw that not as a strength but as a weakness. It was an opening. Amazon would storm into that market, slash the price, and basically say, we'll live on a smaller profit. It was a full-on declaration of war against the profits of every other retailer out there. So what was the ultimate weapon in this war? Oh, you know it, Amazon Prime. And the strategy is just brilliant when you break it down. Step 1, hook 'em. They offer you this unbeatable deal, free 2-day shipping.
Who can say no to that? Step 2, build a moat. Once you're totally hooked on that convenience, it's just hard to even think about shopping anywhere else. And then step 3, expand the siege. They start piling on more and more stuff, streaming video, music, all these perks, until Prime becomes this ecosystem you can't imagine living without. It's not just a service, it's a trap. A really, really convenient trap, but a trap nonetheless.
Okay, so let's recap. They survived the crash. They conquered retail. They've built this massive empire. So how do you keep that momentum going? How do you not just get slow and lazy? Well, that brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial piece of the entire Amazon puzzle. It's the mindset that stops the company from ever resting.
And this is it. This is the core philosophy that drives everything. It is always day 1. See, for Bezos, day 2 isn't just a bad day. Day 2 is the beginning of the end. It's stasis. It's becoming irrelevant. It's that slow, painful decline that ultimately leads to death. So, to keep that from ever happening, the company has to always act like it's day 1, like it's still that hungry little startup in a garage, obsessed with its customers, terrified of failing, and ready to invent its way out of any problem. And this, well, this is what you get, the result of all that. You go from a guy in a garage using a door for a desk to the undisputed final boss of e-commerce, literally standing on a rocket ship. It's the culmination of everything we've just talked about. That one big bet, the ruthless frugality, the strategic attacks, and that relentless, never-ending day 1 mindset. Which, of course, leaves us with one last kind of crazy thought to chew on. This company is already one of the biggest, most powerful organizations in the history of the world. So if all of this, everything we've just seen, is still just day 1, what in the world could day 2 possibly look like?